benefits on the fly.
I actually had two conversations yesterday with two prospect companies. It was interesting because both of them shared pretty much the same sentiment. They both just completed a renewal with their incumbent broker.
And 5400 Delta Kilo for exchange approved. Have a good flight.
Roger 549 Kilo, thanks. When they talked with their incumbent broker, they shared with me that they really weren't given a whole lot of options at the renewal. In fact, both of these companies called me right about the time that they had to make a decision. So there really wasn't a lot that we could do in that short period of time. And they were understandably nervous because they thought that once they made this decision, they were locked in for the entire year. And I think that's a big misconception that a lot of business owners have, is that when you sign up for health insurance, it's an annual contract and you deal with it once a year. And then you just wait till the next year's renewal and hope that it's not, as bad of an increase as this year. So they were really happy to hear when I shared with them, look, here's my advice. Let's just renew as is with your broker or whatever plan that your broker is recommending. Just renew on that plan and just take a deep breath. Just get that done, and then let's talk after January 1st. Then we'll have plenty of time to really consider all of your options. We can do our exhaustive market analysis where we provide access to institutional level benefit plans that most brokers just aren't familiar with. Typically, when we do that, we're able to lower costs by at least $10,000 a year for a small company, upwards to, we've had a 14 employee group that we've saved over $100,000 a year on their premium. So it just depends on how expensive of a plan they have and how much room we have to work with. And so that's what we did. Both of these cases just happened to be that I had the conversation with them both yesterday, and we did that very thing. We talked through, okay, how did that renewal go? What plan are you on now? And then walked them through the next steps of how we can take over as their broker, provide them the level of service that they would like to have, some pre-planning so they're not feeling like the last minute rush like they've been over the years. And then from there, we'll do a full market analysis and we'll project out to maybe April 1st, and we'll run those rates based on that effective date. When we find plans that are more competitive, if either of these groups want us to implement those plans, the great thing for them is that now their renewal date will be April 1st. One of them was December 1st and one of them was January 1st. And so they'll be able to get out of that fourth quarter rushed cycle where everybody's stressed out, the insurance companies are busy, everything's delayed, and they'll be in a much better position because now in April, all of that rush is over. Insurance companies are much more likely to sharpen their pencil, negotiate. They want to keep their business. They want to keep their groups that do renew off the fourth quarter because they're easier to renew. There's a lot of positives for the employer, but I think that was the key difference, that they both shared with me the frustration of, it just seems every year we're given a very narrow window to make a decision, and it has to be quick, and it never feels right, and there's a lot of reluctance with having to pick from a narrow slice of options, and those options just look like the same options that they saw before. It just seems every year the cycle continues to repeat itself. They were very happy to hear that our system is a whole lot different. In fact, we do a strategy meeting 6 months before their renewal. So we walk into that renewal fully eyes wide open, understanding kind of what the expectation is, what options might be out there, what direction we might need to go. But more importantly, the whole goal being that we will utilize market comps to negotiate, because our whole goal is going to be to keep them on the same plan that they are currently on if we can, especially if it's a good plan and they like it, their employees are happy. There's no need to plan hop. And I think a lot of times that's the other challenge, is groups like these feel like every year it's just they have to jump to a different plan and jump to a different plan. When a lot of times if their broker is willing to do the heavy lifting, you can take those market analysis and go back to the incumbent carrier and negotiate aggressively on behalf of the client. And we've had a tremendous success. Just this last year, I think we've been able to successfully lower just our renewing groups over $400,000 in annualized premium. In other words, their renewals came in, they would have been spending $400,000 more when that renewal came in, and we were able to negotiate that much down from what the initial renewal quote was. There's something out there that I've said for years and years, and that is that it's just my personal belief, just from what I've seen and witnessed over 26 years in this industry, insurance companies really don't have a whole lot of rhyme or reason behind the rate increases that they ask for. Over and over, we see the same thing. It almost feels like the insurance company just throws out a number and says, just to see if you'll pay it. And most employers just assume that there's really no negotiating to be done. It's a take it or leave it kind of situation. And so they reluctantly just sign on the dotted line and pay the higher rate. And many times the broker that they work with are also under the impression that there really isn't anything that they can do. So that's what they communicate to their clients. Nothing could be further from the truth. We see it time and time again where we've come into a situation where somebody's worked with a broker for years and years and years and just accepted the rate increases every year. And we come in and we're able to negotiate that down to a flat renewal, so there's no increase. Or if we have data, claims data that we can pull from, we'll negotiate those rates even below what they were paying the year before. And we've successfully done that this year on multiple occasions.